Hello, my name is Joe. Welcome to another YouTube video. Today we're talking about crocodilians and crocodylomorphs. See you on the other side.
Modern crocodilians are semi-aquatic animals living in lakes and rivers. They are also predatory and can be some of the fiercest predators in the water. Crocodilians evolved from crocodylomorphs, which were once much more diverse. Due to the end Cretaceous extinction, crocodylomorphs had a massive drop in their population and diversity, leaving few species untouched. Crocodilians, and by extension crocodylomorphs, have been around for a very long time. Crocodylomorphs evolved from pseudotsuchian archosaurs during the Triassic. The first known crocodylomorphs were the Sphenotsuchians. Sphenotsuchians were tiny creatures. Their skulls were only 2 to 6 inches long in most cases. They had slender bodies and long legs. They were predatory, but they preyed on insects and other small animals. Other pseudotsuchians went extinct at the end of the Triassic, but Sphenotsuchians survived until the Middle Jurassic. It has been found that some Sphenotsuchians are more closely related to other crocodylomorphs rather than other Sphenotsuchians, which makes them a sort of paraphyletic clade. Of course, this means that Phenotsuchians gave rise to all other crocodylomorphs. Crocodylomorphs is a group that emerged during the Jurassic. It is split into two clades, the Paleosuchians and Mesoeucrocodilia. Paleosuchians is written in quotation marks in my notes here because it is unclear whether or not they form a natural group, a clade with a unique common ancestor to the exclusion of all other crocodylomorphs. Paleosuchians were typically 3 to 6 feet long. They didn't delve into any bizarre adaptations like diving into the deep ocean or eating plants. We'll get to that later. But they comprised some of the most primitive members of the Crocodylomorphs family. Mesosuchians and Eusuchians comprise the group Mesoeucrocodilia. Mesosuchians are defined by being more advanced than Paleosuchians, but they also have some of the most bizarre adaptations in the crocodylomorph family. First, we have Thalattosuchia, which is a group of crocodylomorphs that evolved for life in the open ocean and strongly resemble mosasaurs. They evolved flippers and vertical tail fin for this lifestyle. They also went mysteriously extinct at the end of the Jurassic. There's also Notosuchia, which was a group of heavily armored, herbivorous crocs with stubby snouts. They seem to have converged on ankylosaurs. Notosuchians lived at the same time as ankylosaurs, in the Cretaceous, but they lived mostly in the southern hemisphere, while ankylosaurs lived in the northern hemisphere. Uruguayasuchus is South American, Malawisuchus is African, Simosuchus is from Madagascar, and Chimerasuchus from China. All indicate this general trend. The least unusual of these unusual Mesosuchians has to be Sabicus, a rare case of a Mesosuchian surviving into the early Cenozoic. Sabicus had blade-like teeth, which is unusual for crocodylomorphs, because most have round, thick, banana-like teeth, perfect for their death roll killing technique. Sabicus may have instead been adapted for killing prey by biting and causing blood loss. We only know Sabicus from a fossil of its skull. This means we don't know for certain if the animal was an aquatic or terrestrial hunter. Retrieving the rest of the animal's skeleton will be a great accomplishment for whichever scientist who does it. In order to crush a false perception I may have given you, I need to clarify that not all Mesosuchians were so unusual. I will use Sarcosuchus as an example. There's no denying that Sarcosuchus was absolutely ginormous. The beast was 40 feet long and weighed as much as 8 tons. Otherwise, it was fairly similar to modern crocodilians in both lifestyle and appearance. The animal lived in the early Cretaceous of Africa and would have been an apex predator, much like the Nile crocodile. Eusuchia is the group of modern crocodilians and their close relatives, aka the true crocodilians. Modern crocodilians are divided into 3 families, the Alligatoridae, Gavialidae, and Crocodilidae. The Alligatorids contain 7 extant species, 2 species of alligator and 5 of caiman. The only one that lives outside of the Americas is the Chinese alligator. The Chinese alligator is 5 feet long. American alligators grow to 15 feet long. Caimans are generally smaller than other crocodilians. The smallest crocodilian is a caiman. The Cuvier's dwarf caiman reaches a maximum size of 5.6 feet and weighs 13 to 14 pounds. The black caiman breaks this mold. They live in parts of the Amazon rainforest and grow to about 20 feet in some cases. Gavialidae contains the 2 gharial species, the gharial and the false gharial. Both are fairly large. Gharial are some of the longest crocodilians. Gharials can grow up to 20 feet long, with males being much larger than females. They're not light either and can weigh up to 1,300 pounds. They also have long, thin snouts and zipper-like teeth, perfect for catching fish. Males have a fleshy growth on the tip called a gara, which appears as they mature into adults. Gharials live in and around India. False gharials lack this growth. They live in Malaysia, Sumatra, Borneo, and Java. The largest skull of an extant crocodilian belonged to a false gharial. The family Crocodilidae contains the crocodiles and the largest of the three by far. It is split into two subfamilies, the Osteolaminae and Crocodylinae. The Osteolaminae is split into two genuses, the Mesitops, slender-snouted crocodiles, and Osteolamus, dwarf crocodiles. Unsurprisingly, the slender-snouted crocodile are far larger than the dwarf crocodiles. The West African slender-snouted crocodile and Central African slender-snouted crocodile are two very similar species. They're also decently sized. They can reach a max length of 15 feet and weigh 1,470 pounds. Most weigh less than half that much. The two species look remarkably similar. To identify them, you need to get close, which I do not recommend. They are identified by the squamosal scale. If it's rounded, it's a West African. If not, it is a Central African. If you don't want to lose a finger, you can also remember that the further west you are, the more likely the animal is to be a West African slender-snouted crocodile. There are two species of dwarf crocodiles that live in Africa: Osborn's dwarf crocodile and the dwarf crocodile. These are the smallest extant species of crocodile. They have a maximum length of 5.6 to 6.2 feet and weigh a maximum of 40 to 71 pounds. These two are heavily armored and spend considerable amounts of time on land where they can avoid larger crocodiles that can prey on them. The Osborn's dwarf crocodile can be distinguished from the dwarf crocodile by its coloration, a broader, less upturned snout, and reduced body armor. The subfamily Crocodylinae contains most of the crocodiles. This subfamily, surprisingly, only has one genus in it, the Crocodylus. The species are very diverse, and it includes some of the most recognizable crocodilians, such as the freshwater crocodile, West African crocodile, saltwater crocodile, Nile crocodile, the Cuban crocodile, the mugger crocodile, American crocodile, and many more. Saltwater crocodile is the largest crocodile species. They can weigh as much as 3,300 pounds. These animals can be as much as 21 feet long. They live in an exceptionally large range from Australia to India and everywhere in between. If you see one and want to identify it, what are you doing? Get out of there! But you can identify it by their broad heads and reduced body armor, absent in some parts. The size is a dead giveaway. They are the largest living reptiles. If you are in the Americas, the largest and most widespread crocodile is the American crocodile. They live all along the coast of the Caribbean and into Peru. And like the saltwater crocodile, they're easily able to spend long amounts of time in the open ocean. These animals can weigh 110 to 550 pounds and can be up to 13 feet long. Males are considerably larger than females, and there are crocodiles that have reached 16 feet 5 inches. They have large, continuous osteoderms along their backs. Their heads are robust, but proportionally thinner and longer than that of a saltwater crocodile. Now, these two are no doubt impressive, but many people believe that the Cuban crocodile is the most dangerous. Why is that? Well, the Cuban crocodile is the most terrestrial species of crocodile, and they can gallop. Cubans can grow up to 7.5 feet long and weigh up to 180 pounds. They can gallop thanks to their powerful long legs, and they have blade-like shearing teeth. They also dominate areas where their range overlaps with the American crocodile. And if they weren't scary enough, there is considerable evidence that they hunt in packs.
If you liked the video, please subscribe. And please let me know if you like the gameplay. I've been experimenting with that. If you want to recommend something, you could type it in the comments below. Anyway, God bless and goodbye.